So day 23. I am feeling very triggered today, and it's both a positive and a negative. So what was it initially that triggered me? So my landlord had gave out a new contract with the new thing. So with the new payment scheme and stuff, and when I was reading through it yesterday, because he was due to come around and collect it today, there was a clause in it that said, in capital letters, under no circumstances must I be contacted by text. You must use the office phone at all times, capital letters. And then yesterday, obviously Sunday, I was out in the garden just reading through because I knew they were going to be coming today to sign it. And I come back inside and I have a text message on WhatsApp, and it's from my landlord. And the message just simply says, bearing in mind he'd literally left like multiple notes saying I'm coming to collect on X day. The message read, please remember to leave out both copies of your signed contract ready for collection tomorrow, with his name. And I was like, how dare you enforce a clause in my contract and then message me at, I think it was 12:30 on a Sunday. And I was just like, no, that was kind of like playing on my mind. And then at work today, we have a team huddle on a Monday morning, and there was a couple of things said that could have been directed at the people that it was intended for, but it was said more as a team, and I just got frustrated with that. I was just like, people that are doing their job and working hard and not taking the piss don't need to hear it. If you think there's anyone on the team that is not pulling their weight, then speak to them on a one-to-one. Like, I understand why people do it, but it's just, I think my trigger is, I don't understand why people are afraid to have difficult conversations, and I don't know why. Okay, so the reason I want to make this post is shit's got to get real. The whole purpose of doing this journal is that, I was thinking back at, some of the things I've had, and whilst the last, 3 weeks have been phenomenal in my growth and my understanding of my emotions and my, my ups and downs and my thoughts, my feelings, and to helping do gratitude and things like that. But I really want to start making the most of these journal posts. And one of the things that's come up in multiple things that I've read and stuff like that is, if something triggers you, it's because something, it's a mirror, it's reflecting something that's within you. And I was really struggling, like, after that with the landlord. And then today, I was also really surprised. It happened a couple, maybe about 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of been tinkering around in the back of my mind. Like, at the time that it happened, I was a little bit shocked, but I just kind of laughed it off. And I think today that this thing has just come to the forefront as well, was my friend next door, who, is always, we always talk about, how we're trying to be good people and do good things and stuff like that. She made a comment that she wanted to help someone out because then they owed them a favour. And I was just like, I really didn't expect them to say that, because that's not their character that I thought. And I was like, and it just got me questioning, like, have there been things done for me that I now am in debt to that person without knowing? So all of these little things. There was another situation that came up with with someone else recently where, you know, it was very much kind of like, yeah, there were, again, just another similar situation, but it just made me think, why am I so triggered by these things? I know I have a, you know, a very strong, like, need for sort of justice and for balance. I don't give to receive, and I think when I find out someone does, that upsets me. And then there's the whole sort of hypocrite, you know, don't do this but I'm allowed to do it type thing, and having difficult conversations. So there's probably quite a few things in here that I need to address. I need to kind of try and figure out why I'm so triggered by these things, and why today it seems to have kind of like bubbled to the surface and come out. But it was, yeah, it was really interesting to kind of like, I want to start getting something out of these journals. I want to be able to, you know, it's great to talk about how I feel and put pen to paper, but, you know, a lot of journals, you do have to really dig deep, you know, healing and growing and learning. I don't want this to be surface level. I want to get down to, like, you know, all my childhood traumas and upwards, and kind of tear them apart and understand why I think and feel the way I feel so strongly, because these things shouldn't bother me, you know. I should be able to just go, you know, so what if he texts me? I've blocked my landlord now, like, so he can't message me, and I put a little post-it note on the contract and just politely put, in line with clause XYZ, I would appreciate the same in return and not have text messages sent. In regards to the work thing, I've kind of just brushed it off. It doesn't affect me. It just, I think I was frustrated that I had to sit and listen to, like, you know, that should be a conversation that team leader's having with, they must know what they actually said. They must know who it's directed to. And it just frustrates me that, you know, people just can't be open and honest and sit down and have difficult conversations. Like, I understand, you know, some people, you know, on my bad days, you know, having a difficult conversation with me, I can understand is really bad. But just telling a whole team of people that are all trying really hard, and we're going through some changes at the moment within the team where people have had to apply for jobs and they're getting told whether they've got them or not and stuff like that. So, you know, there's already heightened emotions and things. And I just think it's really inconsiderate to have that conversation with the whole team. You should be, you know, having that conversation one-to-one with the people involved. The situation with my friend who kind of like, there's been no instances before, there's been none after, so I'm just putting it down to, okay, maybe it was, you know, something that they were directing at that specific person rather than them as a general nature, like they give to receive type of thing. But it has just really made me stop and think, like, why have I been so triggered by all these things, you know? What in me needs, what's it reflecting back onto me? I know there's been times recently where, you know, in my last relationship where I hate to admit it, but I did kind of say things to kind of test whether they were being honest with me. And yeah, I feel shit saying it out loud, but I did. It's something, because I was insecure in myself. I don't ever want to feel that insecure that I can't just have that conversation and say, have you XYZ, rather than trying to make a silly little joke to kind of like see how they would react to it. And that's frustrated me, that I'm so insistent that people have difficult, you know, have conversations with me. You know, if I'm a strong person, like if I talked about every single thing that had happened in my life, you know, when I have told a few people of things that are happening, the response is normally like, how you're still, you know, the person you are with everything you've been through is insane. So I know, oh, I've lost my train of thought. I'm just so triggered today. Like, it's just reflecting back onto me times when I've been like having these things now done to me, and having seen them, and having a realization that I have in turn, in some small way, done those things back to someone else. I'm angry with myself. You know, this is something that is really important to me. Like, I don't want people to ever shy away from having difficult conversations with me, ever. One sec. The cat's chewing the laptop cable. Yeah, I don't ever want anyone to not feel like they can't say, like, there isn't anything that anyone could say to me that I'm not going to be able to handle. What I can't handle is someone either lying to me, or trying to hide the truth from me, or trying to disguise it as something. And that's exactly what I've done to someone else. And, you know, yeah, I'm just feeling pretty triggered today. So Stacey, you need to practice what the fuck you preach. Like, you let today be a massive wake-up call for you, that you do not get to get upset and frustrated with other people and then do some of the things that you've done. Like, you know, I'm still proud of everything I've done. I've still, you know, I don't think I'm not a bad person. But these things, you know, feeling like your landlord's a hypocrite, and, you know, like the work thing, not being able to have a difficult conversation and stuff like that. You've done those things, and that's not fair that you enforce that on others, but you don't hold yourself accountable. So you need to try and figure out why you think that it's acceptable for you to be able to do it and disguise it as something else in your mind, when if you break it down to raw tacks, you've done exactly what you have asked people not to do to you. And that's not fair. That's not right. That needs to stop. That needs to change. And yeah, it's tough. This journaling is, I gotta start ripping some band-aids off and being fucking honest with myself, you know? Because what I've done to certain people in my past is absolutely not acceptable. You know, to hold people to accountable for things, and then to try and disguise you needing to do that, is just not acceptable. So you need to start making sure that you hold yourself accountable for times when you haven't done what you've promised yourself that you would never do. Yeah. This, the whole thing, things that trigger you are reflecting back things in yourself that you need to work on. I have to understand that I grew up, my mum was a gambler. So she's, a compulsive liar. Even now, it's difficult because I see it two sides of her, and I hate it. Like the last time I went and saw her, she's in sort of semi-palliative care at the time when I went and saw her, and she had a credo nurse come round because she's got COPD, and she was having sort of oxygen, and they were setting her up, and the nurse would be there and she'd be like, "Oh, this is my daughter," and she was really nice and friendly. And then the moment the nurse left, she's like, "She's trying to kill me, I hate her, I'm sure she's telling people about stuff," and blah blah. And she just badmouthed this nurse, and it just baffled me that how she could be so nice to this person's face, and then the moment they left, she just completely ripped them. And I've seen that, she's done that to me. There's been instances, like I remember coming home from school one day and there was a suitcase on my bed, and I walked in the bedroom and I said to Mum, I was like, "Oh, there's a suitcase on the bed. Who's leaving?" And she's like, "Well, it looks like you are." So I was like, fine, went back in my room, packed my suitcase, left, made my way to my friend's house, and in the process of making my way to my friend's house, my mum phoned the police and said that I'd run away. The police located me, found me, brought me home. Mum opened the door, tears. "Oh my God, you found her. I'm so pleased. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know what I'd do, blah, blah, blah." As soon as the door was closed, she beat the shit out of me, and she's like, "Let that be a lesson to you. The police are going to believe me over you." And that's how I've kind of lived that's the environment that I've grown up in. It's been an extremely toxic and difficult environment to grow up in, because I've seen deceit at its worst, and my mum and dad divorced when I was 13, but there were still, my dad was still in my life and stuff, but my mum would test my dad constantly, so that I have to know that that's not, I'm big enough and old enough now to know that that's not right. You cannot do that to people. I absolutely would not want that done to me, and I have done that to people. It's totally understandable why, I'm not in my last relationship, because there were a couple of instances where I did do that to my ex, and that is absolutely on me and not acceptable in any way, shape or form, and that has to stop. Like, I have to stop giving myself permission for things that I would not accept. So that's my learning. My learning is to try and make sure that however it is, I maybe need to explore this a bit more, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to make sure and maintain that every time I'm put in a situation like this, that I handle myself with the integrity that I've always believed that I have. And this is tough talking about this, because I convinced myself that those situations that I'd tested, you know, my ex and other relationships, that was acceptable because I kind of done it in a joking way and stuff like that. But when you break it down, it's no different. And that is not acceptable, Stacey. That has to stop, because you cannot, yeah, that has to stop. There are no excuses. There's nothing else. I just need to get the cat because it's on my bed. Yeah, it's just not acceptable to do that. So you need to figure out how you're going to ensure that you hold yourself accountable and you learn from this shit. Like, this is, it stops now. It has to stop now. You know, you can't keep disguising things, you know. So yeah, my learning is to figure out how the next time I get put in a situation where I would normally say or do something that I would not want done to me, I need to make sure that I pause and, you know, can I justify the actions that I'm doing? But yeah, this journal is it's got to start digging deep. And I'm just going to get the cat again because I got a candle lit. This little munchkin. You stay down there. You normally just come in and sleep. You're spicing it up for me, aren't you? You know I'm in a spicy mood, so you're everything is maybe triggering me a little bit today. But triggers are the opportunity to grow. What's done is done. I can't take back what is done. I am riddled with guilt for the people that I've done things for that I wouldn't want done to myself. But I have to treat myself with some compassion and say that now I know better, I have to start doing better. You cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. You have to be open and honest. Healing and growing and learning and evolving and all these things are gonna require you to break down and to be accountable for things. And now you know better. Now you have recognized a fault that you need to fix. And I know, you know, none of the people that I've ever justified, you know, the way I've behaved are ever going to see this. And my apology to them will be through my changed behaviour, through my recognition now that that is unacceptable, and that that has to stop, and you have to live with integrity. You cannot get upset with your landlord and your work and your friends and things, you know, for things that you disguise in other ways, which when you break it down to it are essentially the same. So that is your learning. Quote. I think the only quote I saw today that kind of I quite liked, because it's the super blue moon this evening, full moon, which has, full moons are going to have a bit of a, they're going to be a bit raw for a few. I know the last few have been, because I, in my last relationship, proposed to my ex on a full moon. So yeah, it's going to be tough to ride a few more out. Like I said, feelings are slowly starting to become memories. Days like today, when I kind of am holding myself accountable for the mistakes I've made, make it easy for me to kind of understand why that person's no longer in my life, because if roles were reversed and that was the reason for the breakup, then I would do the same. So yeah, it's days like today when I realise what I've done wrong. It's obviously a lot easier for me to say, okay, I understand why they don't want to be with me. I wouldn't want to be with me, fuck. So it was a horoscope, but I just thought it was really cool. It says, take pride in your unique qualities and dare to express your innovative thoughts, for this will attract the right people to your path. The changes you've been working on yourself are beginning to show results. Use this energy to explore new groups and approaches. I guess what I can take away from that with this journal entry is that I am not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, and I have been extremely wrong in some instances in my life, and it is not acceptable for me to hold other people accountable for things I wouldn't do myself, because I have done, and there have been things that I have held someone accountable for that I wouldn't do, and absolutely categorically haven't done. But you don't get to pick and choose in life, Stacey. You either live with full integrity, or you don't. There is no in between. I know one of the things with having BPD is that, you know, is very much black or white thinking. And I think what I tend to do is allow myself into that grey zone when it suits me, and that is not acceptable, Stacey. That is absolutely not the way to live. You know, you have to understand that if you continue to do those things, you will continue to be hurt. You have to be completely honest when you are yourself being a hypocrite, or not having a difficult conversation, or hiding behind something disguised as something else. That is not acceptable. And it's crazy because there are certain people in my life that I wouldn't dare to be that with, you know, and there are some people that I can do it with very easily, and that's not right. You know, you either live with integrity or you don't. So something I'm happy for today. I am happy that I oh, this is tough. I'm happy that I have the courage, the strength, and the ability to recognize these faults and to work towards fixing them and to making changes. You know, this is where it stops. So I'm happy that everything that has brought me to this moment, I'm happy for everything that it's taught me, everything that it's teaching me, and I'm happy that I'm able and willing to recognize and grow from these things. My gratitude today, I'm grateful that it's happening on the full moon. Like I said, full moons have always been a very special and important time for me. When I lived in Brazil, there was my friend Gree and Vivian, who we used to call each other the three witches. Gree spoke, well, she was Argentinian, so she only spoke Spanish, and Vivian was Brazilian, so she only spoke Portuguese. And between the three of us, you know, we kind of Google Translate was our friend, but we were like sisters, and we would walk along the beach and we'd go chasing the full moons. And to be having such important and such open and frank and honest and vulnerable conversations with yourself on a full moon, means that the significance of them is not lost. You know, you may not be walking on a beach with, you know, your two best friends in Brazil, in Floripa, gazing at the moon and, you know, laughing. You may not be, you know, stood in America proposing. You know, there's so many other memories attached to full moons. You may not be doing some of those things, but do not let your recognition of your errors and the change in your ways amount to anything less than incredible. You know, there are so many people that you've encountered in your life that don't take accountability for their mistakes, and that is not who you are. You've always been someone who has never shied away from saying you're sorry and trying to learn and grow and be a better person. And these triggers today have opened Pandora's box, and you need to deal with those consequences now. You have, you know, work on yourself, be better, learn, grow, you know, and just hold yourself accountable. And I guess that's it. That's my quote, my learning, something I'm happy about, something I'm grateful for. And I'm just putting out into the universe to anyone who has ever been in my life, who I've ever not been completely honest with, and I've disguised it as something else. That's not acceptable, Stacey. and I'm sorry. Yeah. So today, Stacey, is a bit of a telling off. It's a huge opportunity for you to, now you've said it and you've posted it, you have to be accountable for your mistakes. You have to be able and willing to change, which you are. And yeah, with mistakes come consequences, and you know, a lot of the consequences you've maybe already experienced, but if you do not change, you will continue to have those. So that's it. That's the longest post of the day, longest post of so far, the journal so far. But the whole purpose of this, Stacey, is that you need to start using this journal as to what a journal is for. You know, you don't get to see your therapist every week now, you see them once a month. You need to start having the difficult conversations that you were having with her, with yourself. You need to, yeah, you need to start doing this, otherwise nothing's going to change. And I want it to change so badly. You're not a bad person. You know, people have done wrongs to you as much as you've done wrongs to them, but you do not get to hold other people accountable for things that you're not willing to hold yourself accountable for, and disguising them as other things is not acceptable, so that stops. I still love you. I love you even more because you're able to do this. I'm proud of you for talking about this. Be better. Learn. Welcome these triggers. Next time something triggers you, stop and reflect. Why do you feel like this? What is it telling you? What is it showing you? And you're going to have to rip off some band-aids, I think, through this journey. Today's going to be the first of many. But on that note, I am going to go, and I doubt I'm going to see the full moon tonight. I don't know if you can hear in the background, Stacey. It's raining so hard. Yeah, just do better, Stacey. That's all I can say. But I love you. I'm proud of you. Stay kooky, but do better.